have a theory about the way that men and women have developed collectively on the planet, right? I call it the evolution gap theory. Now, I know a lot of y'all out there have probably heard the phrase before that women mature or girls mature faster than boys when they're growing up, right? A lot of people think that that's a natural thing. You observe little girls in school generally sitting quietly, behaving well, and the boys, people think generally have a harder time with that, sit still and obey sort of environment. And, people point to the risk-taking activity that a lot of boys generally engage in more than girls, which is the reason why, you got to pay higher insurance for a teenage boy. I should know because I got one that just learned how to drive. You have to pay higher insurance premiums for them generally than for younger girls. Now we know that in a lot of ways there are exceptions. This is not always the case. You have girls, who are risk takers and loud and boisterous, and boys who are quiet and measured and introverted. But generally, we're speaking in terms of generalizations, right? Because we have all, for the most part, received the same general indoctrination from the world around us. And I think that has impacted men and women in a particular way. Now, when people talk about how girls supposedly mature faster than boys, in my mind, what that really means is that girls and women have to face a world that has higher expectations of them and has for centuries in a lot of arenas of life. In the household, when it comes to raising children, when it comes to being the emotional cultivators and burden bearers within relationships, when it comes to being the caregivers of ailing parents, oftentimes it's expected that women and girls are going to play those roles. The burden of empathy, the burden of, being long suffering and being willing to suffer through abuse for, the greater good or for the good of a man or for the good of a relationship. Anybody who has two eyes and is willing to be honest and is really paying attention and who has an understanding of history knows that women have, or that men have enjoyed certain privileges. And obviously there have been oppressed groups, and men have experienced oppression and aggression and serious hardships. Not saying that men don't, but there are significant gaps in the privileges that men and women have enjoyed over the course of recent history, particularly since the advent of things like capitalism, patriarchal religions, and the paternal foundation, or the the man as the leader and the head of the household ideology, right? I think that after centuries, after millennia of being placed in the vice grip of constant societal pressure and abuse and hardship, women, to a large degree as a collective, have hardened. And a lot of women have gotten much wiser. Not only were we forced as a collective to be more responsible, to be more empathetic, to be more aware of others around us, we learned to function on a high level with or without a partner. Men, on the other hand, have not been forced to do that. They have been indoctrinated to depend upon women for their management, for their maintenance, for their pleasure, for their wisdom and their guidance. I once had a man tell me that I was his church. It is a well-known fact among sociologists, psychologists, counselors, marriage counselors, that men tend to rely more heavily on women for their emotional and spiritual sustenance than women do upon men, because men have been indoctrinated. They have been, unfortunately, programmed against developing strong, intimate bonds among one another. And the only place where many of them feel safe to even be a little bit vulnerable and to open up emotionally is with women. There are so many ways in which these patriarchal ideals and institutions seemed to give men a measure of power, but actually crippled them. And now here we stand at this precipice where we're being given an opportunity to evolve to another level together. And too many men are fighting the change tooth and nail because they don't want to evolve. Not that they can't. Not that they don't have the ability. Not that it isn't going to be hella hard. I commend any man who's trying, who's learning, who's listening, who's sitting back and deconstructing these ideas that we've been handed. The ones who can't catch up, well, maybe their DNA just needs to die off. No, I'm not saying that they need to go off and, be unalive somewhere. I'm saying that DNA needs to work itself out of the gene pool. We need to elevate, because here's the problem. There are plenty of women out there who are not evolved, who have not themselves taken the time to deconstruct this. And even though they carry within them the DNA that was hardened through hardship, through oppression, through centuries of, women being second-class citizens, that still on the cellular level, they carry that with them and they carry the tools to overcome that. There are some women out there that, don't really follow suit with the collective. And those women and the unevolved men will get together and make more babies than anybody else, because they don't have the common sense and the self-restraint to not do it. And see, that's where we get the problems because then we get overrun with idiots. I'm just playing. I'm not trying to, tell people that they do or don't deserve to have children, to procreate, to, get together. But there is a lot of truth in that. And all I'm saying is, for everybody under the sound of my voice for whom this message resonates, please keep evolving. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing the work. Let's close this gap. That is a choice that we have. We are facing the next level, the next frontier in human evolution at this particular point in time. And it is very scary for a lot of people. Some people are running back to the church or to, iron-fisted religion, to trad wife ideals and, really old, antiquated ideas that got us to the point that we're at now, that don't really work all that well because they're afraid of trying something new and unfamiliar, because they've been told that we are the superior society and this should work for us and we just got to keep at it. You're smarter than that. You know that all of these voices that the algorithm is sending your way, that's telling you to regress back to the old days of men dominating and women submitting. You know deep within you that that didn't work, that that is not sustainable over the long haul for the human collective. So grow a pair and do something different. Reach deep down in your ovaries and pull out that courage that your grandmother had, that got her through all of the shit she had to deal with, that got your great ancestors through giving birth to 10 children with no anesthesia in her house. Reach deep down into your cellular memory, all the way back to the time when the nuclear family had not yet been invented, when the traditional marriage idea that we know of today had not yet been invented, before goddess culture was systematically destroyed in order to suppress feminine power. Reach all the way back in your cellular memory, in your your DNA spirals, to find that part of you that knows what it's like for the masculine and feminine to truly appreciate and love one another, and have the guts to pull that to the forefront. Let's close the gap. You can do it.
Hey, good people, before you run out of this video, hold on. Mark this on your calendar. Put it somewhere in your phone. On January 7th, 2026, I will be featured on the Funky Dineva Live show here on YouTube, talking about my new book, Fuck Submission, Ending the Gender Wars for Good. The book is going to launch that day, and I'm going to have a special sale for everyone who is ready to get it that day. So get ready. Join me in the Garden of Evolution, and let's do the damn thing. This is Inanna Joy, sharing a few of the things I've learned and some things I'm still learning with you. Thanks for stopping by my Garden of Evolution, where we examine what it means to grow, to live, and to love through life's joy, pain, sunshine, or rain. In the Garden of Evolution, you will follow your bliss to your purpose, you will align with your joy, and live well.